Well, guys, thank you for joining another episode 2. That's a big progress because I imagine after episode 1, you're like, dang, are they going to keep up with it? We are. We're here to stay. So thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of Two Bots, One Game. My name is Sully. Alongside me still have the beautiful Popey. We've upgraded, and now you can see his beautiful face today. It's only going to keep upgrading the longer the weeks go on. I know last time we got the chance to talk about the current state of the meta, what we liked and what we didn't like from the qualifiers, North American qualifiers, who got into challengers, who didn't, and VCT lock in. That's a lot to cover in an episode, and I hope you guys were able to enjoy that. Tonight we have a little bit different of approach, and we're looking at the competitive but not VCT scene. So our in-game comp, because there has been a lot over the last couple of days that's happened. I'd say days. It's probably been a couple weeks at this point, right? Um, in-game comp is changing, and it's been very interesting to see how the Valorant community has reacted to it. But before we get into that, um, you doing all right today, buddy?
I'm great.
Good,
I'm wonderful, actually.
good.
Even though I lost my last two ranked games, still feeling okay.
Yeah, everybody's still climbing right now. It's
Yeah.
all about climbing back to the rank that you feel like you earned last episode. Nobody's there yet besides the guys who have been grinding ranked. It's the top players in the game. Whenever I saw the leaderboard the other day, I was just looking through and I saw guys with already 100 wins and I was like, my wife would never let me get there. I don't think I've gotten 100 wins in any episode ever. And these guys had
True.
it 3 weeks into an episode, which is that's kind of wild.
The
Um,
state of ranked right now is capitalism. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
and what's happening to the middle class? Because I feel like that's where we sit right now.
The
I feel
middle
like
class
the what is it?
is getting hurt.
What would you define as middle class? Gold diamond?
Middle class is like gold to ascendant.
Really? You just hurt a
Yeah.
bunch of you hurt some egos with that statement right there. Killing all the ascendant players saying they're still middle class. But you mean you're probably accurate too.
It's upper middle class. It's like you're doing very well, but you're not a millionaire yet.
Yep,
That's immortal.
I'm tracking with that. Cool. So tell me why the state of ranked right now in your eyes, now that you're the self-proclaimed um, subject matter expert of the state of ranked. Catch me up to speed. Catch all the listeners up to speed on what's going on right now.
Yeah, so ranked is supposed to just be a way to show who's doing the best in the game, who is winning the most in Valorant. You get positive RR if you get a win, you get negative RR if you lose, no matter how good or bad you do. Obviously, your performance affects it, but that incentivizes people to try hard in ranked because I don't know, I guess it's the pride of being on top of the leaderboard. It's goes back to the arcade days of Pac-Man 30 years ago. That's what our dads used to do is they try to get on top of the leaderboard and be the one who has the name at the top so that everyone can see you. So I don't it's something with pride. People just love fighting to be seen, I guess. So
Yep.
that's why we play ranked. That's why everyone plays ranked. Also, it just I guess gives you validation that you're getting better, um, or that you're pretty good at the game if you're at a rank that you're proud of.
You're like I'm spending 20, 30 hours a week playing this game. I actually want to feel like I'm not just wasting my time. I want to feel like I'm getting better or like there's proof to show what I'm doing.
Exactly. Like I play Valorant to have fun. I also play Valorant to get better because I like working hard to get better at something. So if I just played Valorant to have fun, I would just play unrated all day. But
Yep.
I don't play any unrated for the most part. I just play comp because I like competing. So I think that's how a lot of people feel also. But the biggest problem with competition is when there's foul play, I'll put in quotations. When there's foul play, it takes away the competitive spirit of whatever people are playing for or whatever people are, you know, fighting for in a game. So it's happened in other sports. In baseball, there's been cheating, there's been gambling, there's all sorts of things that can cause, the competitive spirit of a game to fall through. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's almost always coming down to money. Like people are throwing or gambling, betting against their team, some sort of thing associated with that. And so in Valorant, um, I guess as the game has grown, there's started to be betting on games, and specifically in ranked, the top streamers were getting, watched a lot by a lot of people, and they were starting to get put on crypto betting uh, sites, and I don't exactly know because I haven't been doing it myself, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow people were betting um, on these ranked games of high viewer streamers. And then because there's an incentive to, make a lot of money, um, if someone who's at a high rank knows about the crypto betting and then finds out, hey, I'm on Tarik's team, for example, well, how about I just bet a bunch against myself, throw this game, and then I'll make a bunch of money. And so, again, we've seen it in a bunch of other sports, but it just happens to be occurring in Valorant. And because of that, there was a lot of, you know, just things that felt wrong about the ranked. Like a lot of streamers got really upset because they could tell that people were throwing. They could tell that there was foul play being like going on. They found out about all the crypto betting. And so Tarik had enough of it, and I'm assuming he wasn't like all by himself when
Yep.
he did this, but he took the initiative to create a way of ensuring that everyone that he was playing with would not throw or there would not be any sort of foul play going on because everyone that um, is playing in games with him is now held accountable because they themselves are either a streamer or someone who's known or has some sort of following or a reason to not be throwing for just making some money. And so he made his own basically customs
Custom
server
league, yeah.
and league, and it's called the Pro City, and it's invite only, you have to apply to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some sort of gatekeeping to get in, and it's essentially trying to stop this whole issue with throwing and I guess the gambling issue with it. And yeah,
Yep. I I thought it was super interesting, and there's one thing that you said that I kind of want to circle back towards, and it was like the cheating and competitive integrity, of sports just in general. You've had guys gambling on games in any sport for 50, 60 years, probably for 100 years, right? But, big, sports betting, I can influence the game. I'm going to go make myself a lot of money. That's not new.
yeah,
Um so betting on comp games, although it is against Riot's, like, I don't know if it's like terms and services or what. Something about Riot, like they do prohibit gambling, betting on in like competitive games in the games.
yeah,
Um it is technically not cheating. Like there's nothing like Vanguard can't catch somebody. Riot's anti-cheat system, you can't catch someone that's crypto betting on games. Like it's really
yeah,
hard for Riot to do something. But the word or the phrase that I really like that you said was competitive integrity. And that is where the biggest issue comes in. It is the competitive integrity of the game. Like you completely ruin 40 minutes of nine other people's day, I guess, just to catch a quick buck. Um Now, some people are playing the game for different reasons, and I think that's probably the biggest split in need for Pro City is you have some guys that are playing this game because they're professionals and they need practice and they're
Yeah,
trying to get better. You have some of the guys that are um, like this is their livelihood. That's how they're making money. That's how they're paying their bills. And then you have guys that are just like they play the game because they like playing the game. And unfortunately, there's been a fourth group of guys that are kind of just like preying on those other three groups and trying, especially the pro players and the content creators, and
yeah,
trying to find a way to leech off of their success. Um, so it's kind of it puts Riot in a really tough spot, right? Because there's not a quick solution that Riot can implement to stop these guys because it's nothing that they're technically doing inside the game.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's tough. Also, it's sad because I think I personally just love ranked because, like I said, it's basically the only thing I play
Yep.
other than deathmatch. But um, it's sad because when everyone gets pulled away from ranked, maybe it's just like it gets diluted in some way, and then it just feels like the community is split, and that's ways that I've seen other games kind of be wrecked or fall apart. Like, this is sort of a random connection, but like I remember when Apex had like different maps, and some people hated one map and some people hated a different map, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like the community just got split and everyone was angry. And I think it's hard because if all these pro players want to play 10 mans and they never play ranked anymore, then it's like, well, is ranked now even interesting at all?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of weird things that come with that.
Yeah. So let's jump into Pro City. They have their rankings online, which is big for them. I think it honestly it helps their visibility, makes it more interesting for people to like be able to go and view like us and break down. Okay, here are the guys that are performing. Um, it's not been out for that long, but Stewie 2K and Tarik have already played 69 games in Tarik's Pro City, which is an insane amount of games.
Yeah.
Whenever you think like where would that put them relative to like the guys that are on the ranked leaderboard right now, Stewie's not been trying to grind his rank in game. Stewie's been put, I don't know, it's a 40-minute game. You've played 70. He's put like 50 hours into Pro City like customs, and it's probably helping him out a lot. Now, obviously, some of these guys are doing content. Like Tarik's going to be streaming every single one of his Pro City games to help build the following. Um, but it's cool how they have them ranked. So you have the ability to look at how many games they've played, who's lost the most. Tarik has lost more games than anyone else in Pro City. Acrian has the most wins. Now also, Acrian, Stewie, Calypso, top three, or yeah, three of the top four guys who have played the most games. They're also three of the top four who have the most wins and have the most losses. But I really like that they've included an MMR in here as well. Because Net's just on a tear right now, 21-5.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
that's kind of wild, but it is cool to be able to go in and look at who all is in here. You have the likes of Yay, Flya, BCJ, Som, Trent from the guard. Like it's a legitimate tier 1 ranking. We got some names in there that aren't tier 1 yet. Adder has been in some talks with some teams on maybe getting picked up. um but yeah, just so many high talent players that are in Pro City.
I think what was I gonna say? I think it's crazy how if you look at the bottom, Cryo is at the bottom.
He's 5-16.
And Cryo is obviously really good. Like
Cryo's
that is,
obviously worse than Raucus based on this.
it's not debatable that Cryo is cracked and probably better than
90% of people in this server.
yeah, like in an obvious way. So I don't know, maybe he's getting unlucky. I don't know how the teams are even made, if it's random or if
I
people
think it
kind of,
is MMR based. I
I
think
don't
it,
know then.
yeah,
Is
because I know the
he
way
is
that they
just
kind of set it up is the two highest MMR is like the captain for picking teams and stuff like that.
he's
Uh,
just on a big lose streak then. Unlucky for him. I don't know how. He must be playing like after he's been playing all day and he's just like in bad form or
yeah.
something. I don't know how he's losing.
So it's been interesting to see how the Valorant community has reacted to Pro City. Because you're definitely going to have some lovers and you're probably going to have, I don't want to say haters, but definitely people who are maybe hesitant about what Pro City brings. And I thought Zekin had a good tweet, and I'll let you break it down. But he says the only way to keep 10 mans alive is to gatekeep or differentiate tier 1 and tier 2 in their own separate queues. And this is kind of in reference to some of the guys that are, or some of the players, sorry, that are in Pro City. It's not strictly tier 1. You do have some tier 2s, some tier 1s. I don't think there's, that many just straight up content creators outside of Tarik himself as a content creator. So, um, but there are some game changers teams, guys on tier 2 teams, guys not even signed to tier 2 teams that just have really high potential. And I thought Zekin's comment was interesting because he kind of seems like he wishes it was even more exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
it's kind of crazy. Sorry. It's kind of crazy. Because that's exactly what they're already doing, is they are gatekeeping. From like I think of like our guys on Disciples, all we want to do is get exposure. Like that's their whole goal.
Yep.
Um, and so they get exposure. Like really the only way that they can get exposure is if we perform really well in a tournament that a lot of people are watching, or if they start to go crazy in ranked and people start seeing them all the time in like Jarso clips or at the top of the leaderboard, constantly watching their favorite streamer, and then they're like, hey, I keep seeing this guy
Yep.
in ranked in these guys' games and he's just tearing it up. But like if there's some sort of gatekeeping in these 10 mans in Pro City, and basically everyone's watching the 10 man's game and not watching ranked, then our guys don't get the exposure. And like
Yep.
uh in a lot of these tweets and a Reddit post, they refer to like the people that are like high in the ranks but essentially unknown as like no name people.
Yep.
Um so yeah, I think it's really hard for that group of people in this situation if the 10 man's thing like was the only place that all these like content creators and pro players played in, the attention would almost exclusively be there and not
Yeah.
really like opening it up to other people.
Well,
Uh,
my first thought with Zekin's tweet was, and it has to go more with this secondary tweet where he kind of explains, what tier 1 is and what tier 2 is.
yeah,
At that high level, the franchised and challengers teams are going to be scrimming against each other.
yeah,
Like for practices, like they're trying to scrim against, very high talent. Obviously for franchise teams to scrim against challenger teams, it's nice because you're not sharing strats against the teams that you're going to be playing with in a competitive league all season long. Like you don't necessarily want to give them an insight into your team play, so you're going to go scrimmage the best available talent that's not detrimental to your strategic um, kind of advantages, and those are the challengers teams. So his comment on tier 1 being franchise and challengers teams, to me that doesn't make a whole a lot of sense of being any different than what the pro scrim scene is probably like right now. Um,
Yeah.
the only difference is him adding, if you were previously on a top 10 NA team, that does kind of widen your pool of players. But I imagine that's probably even pretty selective because there are a lot of players who have previously been on a top 10 NA team. It's a pretty large pool to pick from. And the top three game changer teams I thought was fair for adding for tier one, just because based on the last game changers event, there were just three teams that were leagues above everybody else,
Yeah.
even though they're not together anymore. And then tier two being the top 32 teams in open quals LCQ. Again, I still think that's probably teams that are already trying to scrim each other. Um, I think that's just the biggest thing for me that I'm gonna keep going back to is how different with these tiers that you're breaking down. How different is 10 mans versus practice scrims? Because it seems like if you're making these tiers, making these gates, they're not any different. You're just not necessarily playing with your teammates all the time.
Yeah. I think I think there is a difference, and the difference is in the organization of it, because to scrim you have to be able to round up your whole team and pick a time that works for everyone and practice your strats together and make like essentially you're trying to set yourself up for when you play in actual matches. And so scrims have the purpose of improving the team, and there's also like the added benefit of improving yourself, but the main focus is improving the team that I'm on, like the five guys that I play with all the time that I'm committed to. In the 10 mans with this, the reason why Zekin wants it to be the best isn't to make his team better, but it's just purely for his own improvement of like he can ensure that, he's playing in a completely random game. Like he's not playing with tens and who's on Sentinels
Saucy
again?
and Pincata and Def.
Yeah, exactly. He's not playing with them. They're not practicing strats. They're not doing things that are crazy, but he's playing at such a high level that individually it improves him.
Yeah.
And so that's in his interest. Is it's like if he's playing ranked, it can feel kind of brain dead, and he's maybe questioning like, am I even improving? Like, is this even worth my time? So he's like, oh, well, I want to play at the highest level to improve, so let me scrim. But oh, I can't round up everyone. And then even if you round up your whole team, you then have to find a team that's good competition to play. So it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of things that go into making scrims. I'm sure like the best teams are really good at,
Yeah.
getting scrims, but with this, it's more for self-improvement. It's also just for enjoyment because I'm sure it's fun to constantly be able to like know, hey, I'm gonna be able to play in games where it's like everyone's well known, everyone's
Mhm.
really good.
Mhm.
No one's gonna be toxic, like no one's gonna be super toxic, no one's gonna throw. Everyone is I mean, I'm thinking for the most part pretty fun to play with because they're all streamers, they're all
Yeah, definitely
content
farming
creators.
content.
Exactly. It's really good for content. It's really good for everyone that's in the 10 mans.
Yeah.
100%.
But as soon as you're outside of that group, you are miles behind everyone else's opportunities.
Exactly.
Um, and I'll just kind of read, Tarik's reply, and I think it's kind of where your thought was too. Tarik said to Zekin's kind of thought that a big part of this pro city is creating the opportunity for tier two players to play and learn from tier one players. So splitting them up feels counterintuitive. So I do like that, Tarik's thought process is coming. We didn't build this for tier one players.
Yeah.
We built this, it seems like, to kind of counteract the throwing and toxic environment of rank. It
Yeah.
wasn't just to cater to tier one players. Um which I do like, and Zekin's reply to that kind of takes me to the next point that I want us to talk about is he follows Tarik, but his only gripe is that there's a bit too many people playing who don't meet the criteria. So let's talk about the criteria. Um, there really isn't a defined criteria. Tarik has set up a anonymous council to be the judge. I think it's a 5-person council, and I don't know if he's on it or not. Um, but there is a council to see if someone who fills out the application to Pro City should be allowed in.
Yeah.
Which I cannot imagine that being a fun thing. That sounds awful to be
Yeah.
a part of. And you have some high level players right now that have not been able to have the chance to get in. I know Daznerth um, is probably, memeing content creator, all that stuff, but I think he's Radiant ranked number 2
Wait, they
right now.
denied him?
Yeah, he I think this was yesterday.
Yo,
He
they hate Dazzner. That is actually lame.
he's number 2, Radiant ranked number 2 I think when I checked the other day. I mean, obviously you can go up and down. But he's not even in Pro City.
Yeah,
So,
that's lame. If he actually applied and they denied him, that's actually stupid. Like I'd be mad about that because I get mad that they hate on Dazzner so much.
um but it's just that's what's interesting to me is because it is a council and there's not set limits or set goals or set deadlines that you have to try and meet. It does get very I just can see people getting butthurt by this so easily.
Yeah, that is the risk. Uh, yeah, it's really rough.
So
Um, another, I think just referencing Zekin's thing is you can just tell Zekin wanted something and his expectations aren't being met. So maybe he played in a few games and because he's saying
the talent's
there's a
not there.
skill gap.
Yep.
He's saying there's some sort of skill gap. So he's not happy with the team that he's on. He thinks he's miles ahead of his team,
Yep.
or maybe maybe there's a few good guys on the team, but there's like a few really bad guys that he considers. So it's
I was
like
gonna say really
he
bad
he
is
wants
relative.
yeah, not really bad. He wants to be playing with the best of the best. Like he wanted it to be like a mix of all the tier 1 teams and he can
Yeah.
just ensure that he's playing best of the best. So the reality is like that's just so hard to make, and then like that's just an incredible amount of gatekeeping to be able to do that. And I get that because when you're the strongest, like when you're the best, and Zekin's at the top of the game right now, all you want is to keep getting better.
Yep.
So you don't want to give other people the opportunity to get better. Like if you're purely thinking for yourself, and the only way you get better is if you play competition that challenges you.
Mm.
But if you're not being challenged and the other people are being challenged, then the people that are being challenged are getting better. So you're not getting better, but the other people are getting better.
So I wonder if his gripe sits more with the level of talent he's playing against versus the level of talent that's on his team.
That could be possible too. I
It's
think he
interesting.
just had an expectation of really good players, like ensuring that it would be really good players, and then maybe that just wasn't up to his expectation.
Yeah. Which I can imagine if I was Tarik, I would want to get a certain number, just to hit a number of people into Pro City at the start, so it's not basically impossible to queue right at the very beginning because there's nobody in the Discord server, and then
Yeah.
everybody immediately loses interest because you can't actually find a game, so you just have to go back to comp to find a game. So I
Yeah.
imagine there's a little bit of a thought there of letting people in. Now, will he kick people out? That's an interesting thought. Like if you're not performing well, do you get the boot? Um I can't say that I would suggest that. Um but maybe you cap Pro City at 150 players. I don't know. Just thoughts of the throwing out there of, what could be the status of Pro City moving forward. And I know Tarik tweeted something about, hey, if Riot shuts us down, then we really can't do anything about it. I have a hard time imagining that they would do that. Like, yes, Tarik has a platform, but Riot's not really losing anything because they're still in the game. And honestly, there's been a lot of attention that's probably come to the crypto throwers because of what Tarik's done. But I think the best thing that Riot is doing going forward is going to be this premiere mode. They announced it in October. They just ran the alpha tests in Brazil, and in their 2023 update video, they announced that Premiere would be coming to Valorant in 2023, which is really exciting news, especially from the team level. I'm just thinking about how can you get your team across the line, and even
It's gonna be
what
so good.
opportunities can come from playing well in the game, and what Riot plans to do with the level of competition there. But what's nice about those games is now it's not just a race for RR. You get to pick your teammates, so you're not going to have a thrower on your team, and you're playing against someone who, I mean, really the only scenario that I see a crypto thrower being able to have success in, which no one would be mad about, is if they're on a team of people that they know and then they throw their own games and give wins to other teams. So they're really going to be able to throw like one game and it's against themselves. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's really not gonna happen.
yeah, I think, the whole crypto pro city, I would love that it maybe speeds up our ability to get hands on Premiere sooner, because I just don't see anything that Riot can do right now about the scenario with crypto and throwing games and the really repulsive environment that we find ourselves in comp.
Yeah, I am really excited for the mode. Uh, do you know when they said it's coming out, or was it
Just
vague? Just 2023?
2023. Yeah.
That's lame. I hope it comes out soon. I think I think it'll be really good for teams like ours and like other tier 2 teams because it'll give recognition. Like it'll give a board, obviously another leaderboard to be able to look at and to like get attention or recognition for a team's accomplishment or ability to beat other teams. But also it's just like all the organization thing that I was talking about earlier about what kind of is difficult about scrims is like making sure you have all five of your guys and making sure they have all five of their guys and
Yep.
everything works out, blah blah blah. It'll be like all of that is already done for you.
Yep. The scheduling is completely
And
done for you.
also another issue that's really hard with with scrims is sometimes we find teams that are like horrible and we
Yeah.
just smack them and we're like, was this even worth our time? Like, how did we even find these guys? They said they were Immortal Radiant or like Radiant tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times we play teams and they're just so out of our league.
Yep.
Uh, and then finally, we play teams and it's a really good scrim. It's like, wow, this was good. Like, this was a good competition. Hey, let's try to make this regular. Like, let's try to play this team on a regular basis because it's improving us when we play them and it's improving them because we're both so closely matched. But
Yep.
in ranked, when there's an actual rank behind it, you'll be playing teams that are at your same rank. So it'll ensure, obviously, we probably want to be playing better teams, but
Mm-hmm.
it'll ensure that, we're not playing teams that are way out of our league. We're not playing teams that are uh, way worse than us.
Yep.
We're playing teams that are at the same rank. And so I don't know. I think that's just really cool. Also the idea of like, even though we're only in Plat Diamond, we could make our own team
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
and
it'll be
battle.
it'll be interesting to see how the MMR of Premiere works. Like, will there be any sort of tie to your solo competitive rank? Will it be completely separate? Will it be, will there be some sort of tie, or will it be, its own unique thing? Which I'm personally really excited to see that. I think it is a huge area of opportunity for Riot and for Valorant as a game. Um, I also, we can kind of end on your thoughts on this. I wonder what Premier will do to competitive. I wonder if it will kill the competitive solo queue, duo queue, ranked environment, or if it will grow it. Um, what are your thoughts?
It definitely won't grow it, in my opinion, but I don't think it will kill it because again, I don't know how the mode works, but I'm pretty sure, if you make a team, you can only play with that team, like
Yep.
those 5 guys. So it still comes down to the only way you can queue this mode is if you can make sure that you get Jimmy, Johnny, whoever and whoever on at the same time. Like you need all 5 of your guys on. Well, I guess if you're on, you need your 4 guys on.
Yeah.
And the reality is like, unless you're just a squad of gamers, like you can't ensure that everyone's gonna be on at the same time. So I would say that like if all 5 of the guys are on, I can't imagine a world where if I'm on a highly competitive team
Mm.
and my 4 teammates are on, I'm not gonna be like, hey, do you guys want to play Premier?
Yep.
And I'd rather play ranked than play with the boys ranked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they're not on, I'm gonna be playing
You're
ranked
still playing by
essentially. So
yourself.
so I think it's not gonna kill ranked. I think it's more of like just a diversion to ranked and
Mm.
then also like I think it's just a better alternative also. Like with both of them going hand in hand, I think it just provides the opportunity to see Valorant at like its best, which in my opinion is like team play, 5v5
Mm.
coordination, and then as best as it can get when you don't have a team, which is ranked. So
Yeah.
I think both of them will be able to go hand in hand. Hopefully, that's what I hope.
Yeah. I hope so too. I hope it'll be good. I hope my expectations for it are valid and that I'm not let down by an overhyped product.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, that's all I got. You have anything else that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think that's it
Cool.
for today.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for joining in to another episode of Two Bots One Game. Appreciate the support, and we will catch you next time.